I gotta talk to you right now. Have you ever asked yourself why you hate a skin tone? Nobody has to be here, not nobody. But I'll be black in every lifetime. Yes, you can have pride in you too. But when I do it, it's because nobody cares about my life. You act like I'm a mud, and we all know I'm the beginning of the whole shit. But you hate me, boy. Tell you people ain't shit. Ooh, yeah, it hurts sometimes, but this got me tough. So I say, damn you and your whole crew. I'm black, and that's my truth. Black in every life. Same spirit, same skin. Every time I come back round, you look at me like I'm the problem, like my existence is too loud. I didn't choose the tone, but I carry it with pride. Why you carry that hate like it's something you hide? You can love yourself, I ain't mad at that. But the second I stand tall, you act like it's in attack. Call me names, call me less, act like I don't belong. But history don't lie, and the bloodline is strong, boy. Tell you people ain't shit. Ooh, yeah, it hurts sometimes, but this got me tough. So I say, damn you and your whole crew. I'm black, and that's my truth. Black in every life. I gotta talk to you right now. Have you ever asked yourself why the hate still lives? Nobody asked for this life, but I still claim mine. Black in every lifetime. That's the only truth I gotta live. Damn you and your whole crew. I'm black, and that's my truth. Black in every life. Yeah, that's my truth.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, so let's get ready to get back to business. Hello, Alberto, Darktube, G from the Land, Deronda, 504 Nola, Betty Boop, Irma is here, Youngest Turnip. Okay, Youngest Turnip, were you spamming my chat? Looked like you were spamming the chat for a minute, beloved. I'm sure you weren't, but Desmond, Nessa G, Sunshine is here. All right, Brown Slap Power God. Neen feels her feels. Okay, let's get into it. Just Jean. All right. So with that all being said, hey, we the people, Notorious B.I.G. is here. All right. Queen, I went on TikTok this morning. It's like a triple K rally on there. They are really proud at Carmelo being denied and Nola's family not getting answers. Oh, of course they are. I mean, that's to be expected. I told you all they would be gloating, honey. Okay, please ignore them. They're irrelevant. Okay, hey, Alice. Shalvit is here. Let's get ready to get into it. Listen, I told you all yesterday. Hadassah, hey, beloved, Nita and Mike's World, gratefully blessed. Listen, I told you all yesterday, they want to antagonize us and all of that. And this is why they come around, when these things happen, because they want to, like I told you, they want to test the temperature, check the temperature, see how upset we are and what we're saying we're going to do about it and all of that. Ignore them. We have bigger fish to fry. Who cares what they say? The show is not over until the fat lady sings. All right. Now, before we get started, and without further ado, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz. You can also find her products at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so let me just tell you all, there's more bad news because another black man was found hanging from a tree, okay, in North Carolina. So let's get into it. Because if it isn't one thing, it's always another. And that's why you all don't have time to be worried about what maggots are talking about. We have bigger fish to fry. We need to be trying to figure out what we're going to do about all these strange fruit. Okay? Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Please be sure to like the video. It helps us in the algorithm. And it doesn't cost you a thing.
9 was found hanging in North Carolina. Let's get into it. In Roanoke Rapids, police are investigating the death of 38-year-old Demetrius Eugene Fleming. Now, Demetrius was found hanging from a tree Friday at a home on Roanoke Avenue. Now, the police chief, Lawrence Wiggins, is calling the situation an open investigation. Now, the initial 911 call came in as an attempted suicide from somebody that was close to the scene, but not on the scene. An autopsy is underway. According to his obituary, Demetrius Fleming was a husband, father of 9, and a musician who brought a lot of joy to his community. Now, understand that this comes just days after a 32-year-old black man was found hanging from a tree near Nash Square in downtown Raleigh. Raleigh police ruled it a suicide and said that surveillance video they have shows that he acted alone. And then there's the case of 16-year-old Juliana Nzita, a Congolese immigrant found hanging from a tree on church grounds in Charlotte on May 8, 2026. Police ruled it a suicide within 3 days, and no autopsy was ever performed, only a physical examination, and her phone was never found, and the police never even interviewed the guy who discovered her body. Her family is still seeking answers. We also can't forget Cedric Tehu. On June 6, 2026, the 36-year-old Congolese immigrant and community activist was found hanging from a tree at Harris Depot Park in Harrisburg, North Carolina. Now, Cedric was a community activist. The Carboris County Sheriff's Office determined that no foul play was involved and said that there was physical evidence that was consistent with suicide. 4 black people have been found hanging within a year. 3 out of 4 of those have been ruled a suicide so far, and the police are telling people not to speculate. But when you have 4 hangings taking place in a state that had hundreds of documented cases of lynchings, you can't help but wonder if something deeper is going on. This is Monique with the Black Belt Daily, signing out.
Now, I know darn well that you all know that these are not self-deletions. Okay, and then they're not even interviewing people about it. They don't even have any questions. Okay, the lack of them even being curious enough to try to find out or speak to the witnesses, the person who found the body, they didn't even interview him. Now that tells you right there what they're up to. These devils are out here hunting black folk, and everybody wants to act like there's nothing to see here, folks. And y'all worried about what maggots are talking about? Please forget what they're talking about. They're irrelevant. Okay? Y'all need to be worried about what in the hell's going on with black folk. Why are these people found in these trees? I guarantee you if it was the other way around, they wouldn't be talking about self-deletions. That's what they wouldn't be saying. Please pay attention. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
All Black people that are listening to me right now to wake up, and you should be on high alert. We are being hunted. This keeps happening. Another Black man has been found hanging in North Carolina just days after a man was found hanged in Raleigh. Police are not calling this a suicide right now. They can't determine whether it's self-inflicted or if something malicious happened. So let me tell you exactly what the authorities are saying before rumors take over, and also what we need to be doing as a Black community. His name is Demetrius Eugene Fleming. He is 38 years old. Shortly after 6:45 a.m. yesterday morning, police responded to the 1900 block of Roanoke Avenue in Roanoke Rapids. The original 911 call reported an attempted suicide. When officers arrived on the scene, Fleming was already deceased and was found connected to what investigators described as a ligature. A ligature simply means some type of material used to tie, bind, or constrict, which could include a rope, cord, fabric, a belt, or something similar. It's important to note that police have not revealed what type of ligature was involved in Demetrius' death. Police Chief Lawrence Wiggins says this remains an open, equivocal death investigation. Investigators are pursuing all leads, examining nearby surveillance cameras, and an autopsy could determine whether there were any additional injuries. And right now, police say there's no evidence connecting Demetrius' death to the recent Raleigh incident. So what do we do as a Black community? We should check on each other. We should share our location with people that we trust. We need to let someone know where we're going and who we're meeting and what time we will arrive. We should be preserving threatening text messages and videos. If you witness something suspicious, you need to document it safely and report it, and demand a thorough and transparent investigation. The authorities don't have enough evidence to call this a lynching. They don't have enough evidence to call this a suicide. This is what they're saying right now. So we have another family that deserves answers and a community that deserves the truth.
Let me tell you all something. Excuse me. At the end of the day, they're going to come back and say it was the same old thing. Okay. They're just pussyfooting around it. If you pay attention, the last time they did the same thing, when they found that young lady, 29 years old, I believe she was, and they said they didn't have any information as to what it was. They're still investigating. And then they came back and said self-deletion. This is what they do. They just try to appease us because they know that we've been constantly saying that that's the first thing they come out and say. So now, instead of just coming right out and saying it, they'll wait a couple of days and then come out and say it. It's the same old soup twice warmed over. That's all it is. That'll be what they say. Please pay attention. Okay. And they know exactly what's going on just as well as we know what's going on. And quite frankly, I believe it's the police, like I've been telling you all, because who else is able to get these Black people to go off somewhere with them when, first of all, we already know what's going on. So do you think Black people are just so ignorant that they're just going to be wandering off with strange people who don't look like them? Because we already know it's people who don't look like them that's doing it. So with that all being said, you think they're just going to be wandering off with some random strange people or persons? No. Somebody with authority is doing this and making them feel obligated that they have to go. Maybe telling them they're under arrest or that they're being detained or that they're going to be taken in for questioning. And let's not forget that in Florida, a few years ago, maybe more than a few years ago, about a decade or so ago, there was a police officer who was disappearing people. Yeah, he would act like he's going to help them. There was a Black guy whose car was broken down on the side of the road. He went and assisted him or pretended he was going to assist him. And the guy was never seen again. Body found weeks or maybe months later. Same thing he did to an Hispanic person. He just went and picked a Hispanic dude up. He was sitting outside on the steps with his friends. He pulls up and tells him he's got questions for him, makes him get in the car, and nobody ever sees him again. I don't even think they ever found his body. So I'm just saying, I think absolutely it is the police. Okay? Absolutely. Not just police officers, but police officers and other people working with them. Now, that's what I think, and I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Okay, because we know historically when these things happen, when Black people were lynched, the police were always involved. Go check history. All right. So that all been said, views, opinions, allegations, and accusations expressed by guests, third parties, or commenters are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur Show or any of my affiliate channels or social media accounts. Content is presented for commentary, discussion, reporting, and educational purposes. Discussion of an allegation does not mean the allegation is true or endorsed by this channel. All persons are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. Now let's get ready to get into it. First thing I want to do is I want to talk about, oh, and by the way, I have the paper, the letter. It's like a 19-page letter. We're not going to read the whole thing, but we're going to go through it. We have the letter that they sent to Al Sharpton, and I can't wait to see what's in there. Now, mind you, I haven't read a bit of it yet. Okay, so, but the first thing I want to talk about is some of the latest updates and developments. So the biggest one was the CETO subpoenas, okay? When Christine Wants and her legal team decided that they're going to subpoena CETO and Ward Marine Services, and that really shook up and changed the game, and I know they're all scrambling around just so worried and concerned. And that's why, if you ask me, they came out and hit Al Sharpton with this letter telling him that they're going to sue. I think that was their little plot for revenge, retaliation, because, hey, they came after him, at him right after that information was released about the subpoenas. Okay, so they wanted to get their lick back, so to speak, in my opinion. Now, so let's talk about it because this could be particularly important for comparing the Friends later accounts, as I told you all, with a contemporaneous third-party record created while events were actually unfolding in real time. Now, mind you, the DA is still saying the investigation is headed to the grand jury. Okay, DA Angel Myers McElrath said her office is limited in what it can publicly disclose and that the investigation will be presented to a grand jury. Now, mind you, I already debunked that, where she's saying that, you know, when she's acting like they can't disclose anything. I already told you all that there was another case from around 2021, okay, with a guy by the name of Dustin Settles, where they absolutely released his preliminary autopsy information and told people, they released to the public that it was deemed as a homicide, okay? And I find it interesting that they didn't say that his was just an accidental drowning, okay? Yeah, because he had a different complexion. But anyway, let me continue. So anyway, there is also still no publicly released final official autopsy resolving Nolan's death. Okay, recent reporting continues to describe the independent autopsy as unable to determine the manner of death and unable to exclude foul play. And we already know that their autopsy they did, they have not released it to the public. Now, at one point they said that it could be released after it went to the grand jury, but I don't think they're ever going to release it. That's just my opinion. And so, and another thing that I find really interesting, the new data point concerns about the Horn Island drownings, okay? Because remember, people put out that article about the data saying that there was no recorded drownings at Horn Island during the past 6 years, okay? Although the area did have rip currents and sudden depth changes, but no drownings. And I want you all to pay attention because this is how stupid some people are. Mind you, we already had figured out that about the drownings because we already had researched that over here. But I heard some idiots say that the reason there's not been any drownings at Horn Island is because it's really hard to drown there because of the rips in the water. Now, I don't know what kind of fool this person is, but what are you talking about? It's hard to drown at Horn Island. Anywhere there's a large body of water, people can drown. People just have not drowned in the last 6 years. That doesn't mean that it's difficult to do, especially in a place where they have that washing machine effect within the water. Okay, I don't know why people even listen to people who say these most ridiculous things, that it's hard to drown. Hell, somebody could drown in a pond. Someone can drown in a bathtub. So what are they even talking about? Anyway, let me continue and mind my own business because, I mean, it's just real interesting. So anyway, with that all being said, another thing is the Al Sharpton dispute has now escalated because we know weeks ago they were talking about Al and Ben Crump. I guess they decided to just come for Al by himself. But, you know, in case you missed it, it's Warren Hudson, Jack Spatalo, and Morgan Seymour who threatened litigation against Sharpton, okay, following some comments that he made that didn't even sound the least bit like defamation, libel, or slander to me. Okay, and then there's more national pressure because now the NAACP has joined in, and also the Congressional Black Caucus came out seeking to get federal involvement in the case, okay, because of all the shady things going on. And also, let's not forget how hundreds attended the recent gathering marking what would have been Nolan's 19th birthday. So this story, let me tell you all, this story is so huge at this point. I know this is nothing that they expected down there in Ocean Springs. And it's just so shocking to them, I'm sure, because now the cat's out the bag. I wonder what they're all thinking. So anyway, let's talk about some of the reasons why people think this is such an absolute cover-up. First of all, the CETO material is going to be more significant than it initially sounds, like I told you all, because it's going to be more imperative or more significant than the recollections of people. Okay, the dispatch recordings, the timestamps, call logs, all the communications can potentially establish what was being reported in real time. Now, when assistance was requested, when it was canceled, and all these things that I already told you. And this is why the devils are so upset. And so, but here's the thing. We suspected early on, most of us, I would say, suspected early on that there was going to be a cover-up. When Sheriff Ledbetter came out and said immediately no evidence of foul play, likely just an accidental drowning. Excuse me. And so, they're upset because people have done all this speculating, but the bottom line is they're the ones who placed themselves under the microscope from all of the shady things they did from start until current. So when people ask why there are accusations of a cover-up surrounding the death of Nolan, I think it's important to make one thing clear from the start. They brought this on themselves. Okay, and even though the cover-up hasn't been proven, there's a whole lot of circumstantial evidence that makes it seem exactly like that's what's going down. Not to mention all of these wealthy elite people that we found out that some of these certain key players like Judge Ashley Cole are in fact connected to. Let's not forget how the DA, Angel Myers McElrath, how she's connected to the previous DA's office, who had a whole scandal, okay, with a young black man who turned up dead, and that was a whole cover-up too. Okay, so this is something that, in my opinion, has been going on for who knows how long. So let's talk about it. People don't necessarily become suspicious because somebody simply tells them to be suspicious. Suspicion is something that grows when there's numerous unanswered questions, and they just start piling up on top of each other. Okay, if you ask me, and when the information the public can't see doesn't appear to provide a simple explanation for what's happened, or when the police, specifically the sheriff who's involved in the case, acts like he's annoyed when people start asking questions, just trying to get him to be transparent. And that's exactly where we are today and why we are where we are right now in the Nolan Wells case. Okay, so Nolan went to Horn Island with his friends on July the 4th, and he didn't return back with them. His body was discovered near the island 2 days later. The GPS data from where they were supposed to be on their boat showed that they were in the same vicinity to where Nolan's body was found just days later. Not to mention they had a CETO call that they canceled, said the boat was sinking, but it obviously wasn't. Because how was the boat still running and able to get to so many places after they claimed the water was up to the battery and almost up to the transom? Not to mention that the timeline has holes in it. Okay, and here we are weeks later. Now, this all started July the 4th. Here we are almost 2 months later, and the question still remains, the central question: what in the hell happened to Nolan Wells? What happened to him during his final hours? And one of the biggest reasons people are so suspicious is that there's still a critical period in Nolan's final movements, or his known movements, that has not been publicly reconstructed with any amount of certainty, because we have all of these people saying all these different things. But I'm hoping that the CETO information is going to resolve all of that and answer those questions. Now, an independent analytical review reported that the available photographs, videos, GPS information, and witness accounts still leave a material gap in the timeline between Nolan's last independently corroborated sighting and the reported departure of the boat that transported him to Horn Island. Now, the review specifically cautioned that social media timestamps cannot necessarily be treated as definitive without examining the original files and metadata. So with that all been said, that doesn't prove that anybody committed a crime, and that's not what I'm saying, but I do think that somebody committed a crime. And matter of fact, I think several people did. So, but all of this explains why people keep asking what happened during that missing period. Okay, and then let's talk about the boat emergency. So the CETO call, now that was another thing that created, a lot of questions, especially after we heard what we heard in the background. And you mean after all of that? And I find it interesting because now they're trying to say that was AI or that was altered. It's not real. And it's interesting that Sheriff Ledbetter never even has said anything. Now, maybe he has looked into it. I don't know, because we don't know what all they're doing because of the lack of transparency. But I would just be curious to wonder if he has listened to the CETO audio, if he's had any forensic analysis done on it, and if in fact he thinks there's any validity to it, and is he going to arrest anyone? That's what I want to know, because it sure doesn't seem like it. So at approximately 4 p.m. on July the 4th, somebody aboard the boat called CETO, we know that was Wyatt, reported that the bilge pump had stopped working and that the boat was sinking. The dispatcher specifically asked whether everyone on board was okay. Now, the caller answered that everyone on board was in good health. Hold on, beloveds. Hold on just 1 second. Oh, okay. Anyway, so that all been said, why do y'all think she asked was everyone in good health? Because clearly, in my opinion, she heard the stuff that was being said in the background. No, wake the F up. Nolan's about to die. Is he dead? Can we cover it up? All that stuff that we heard, yeah, she likely heard that stuff too, which is why Wyatt started muting the phone, because he realized she was hearing that stuff because of the way she was asking questions. Is everybody breathing? And all of that. But assistance ultimately wasn't needed after CETO was informed that the problem had already been resolved. And now Nolan's family is digging deeper into those communications, as they should. And I'm so glad about it. And that matters because a contemporaneous emergency call can be extremely valuable evidence, you see. Memories change, stories can become confused, people can start telling lies, people can be coached into changing their story, pressure, threatened. I mean, you name it. People can misremember different times and things like that. And a timestamp, a time-stamped call, that doesn't have a memory. It can potentially establish what people were saying while the events were actually happening. That's why the CETO call records are going to be so very important. Now, this is another issue too. There's another issue that's fueling public suspicion. Nolan's family didn't simply accept the initial information they were giving. They were suspicious immediately from the sounds of it, and as were we. They obtained an independent autopsy because they didn't trust Mississippi law enforcement, and no Black person should, in my opinion. They pursued Nolan's digital records. Experts were brought in to examine the CETO recording. There have been efforts to examine cell phones and digital evidence, and the family's attorneys have continued trying to reconstruct Nolan's movements independently. Now, the family has been they've even publicly disputed suggestions that they weren't cooperating with prosecutors, saying Nolan's parents remained willing to facilitate a forensic examination of his phone under an arrangement discussed with the DA. They had to come out and say that because of the lies and speculation, because the prosecution's office was trying to make it seem as though they were not willing to, share the phone data. And that isn't the case. They just didn't want them doing it by themselves. And who would? Because there's no telling what kind of pertinent information is in that phone. And the last thing we need is for them to get their hands on it and destroy it or get rid of it. And then we never get to the bottom of it. So, and of course, none of this proves that officials are hiding anything. I just think that officials are hiding some things, okay? But from the public's perspective, it does also raise very understandable questions. And then let's not forget about the autopsy. Now, the official state autopsy has been completed, but the findings still have not been released publicly, and I don't think that they ever will. The DA says the autopsy and other investigative materials will be presented to a grand jury, which then will determine whether Nolan's death was involved or pertained to or had any criminal conduct. And then the DA has also explained that this secrecy is so necessary to protect the integrity of the investigation, and that presenting unnatural or suspicious debts to a grand jury is standard practice in her office. And like I told you all, yeah, that's true, but not the way she's trying to make us think that they go about it. She's misleading the public, because that's the last part of it. That's not the first. And then for her to sit there and act like, oh, we can't make any arrests because we have to wait and see what the grand jury says, that's all BS too. Because like I told you all, if they know that someone, or they have a reason, a very good reason, probable cause, and other evidence, even if it's circumstantial, to suspect that someone killed somebody, and I'm not saying they do in this case, I'm speaking in general. Now, do you really think they'd sit there and wait for a grand jury before they arrested the person and took them into custody? Like, make that make sense. The person could be deemed as a danger to society, because who knows if they're going to kill somebody else. And we already know that wouldn't have been the case if it were a Black person accused of doing something to someone that doesn't look like them. Okay. So anyway, when the public already has all these unanswered questions and the withholding of information, even for legitimate investigative reasons, this all creates an information vacuum, like I told you all before. Okay, and people start wanting answers, and then when they don't get them, they start speculating. Now, Nolan's family previously raised concerns that messages appeared to have been erased from Nolan's phone before it was returned to them. And that allegation has not established the who or if anyone in fact deleted anything or whether anything improper occurred. But likely, of course, someone did. But see, here's the problem with that. We're not going to be able to, or shall I say, they're not going to be able to, unless someone snitches and just tells who did it, they're not going to be able to prove who did that, because there were so many people at that house where the phone was. They could say anyone handled the phone, anyone could have done it, and they could even make the argument that Nolan's mom did it after she got the phone, or Toshiba did it once she picked it up. You see how that goes? And so anyway, let's get into some of these videos. Like some, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's the 7th person? He can't be sitting in the chair because that's allegedly Wyatt on the phone call with Sito. See the dark hair, glasses. Right here you can see the stripes going on the side of the short. Blue above and bottom. Just like seen right here. But where the fuck is he? Dude in the red shorts allegedly was not on the boat. Where the fuck is he at? He should be right here. And then if he was right there, you'd be able to see him in this area. As you can see the pole right there. You'd be able to see him in this area or on the other side. In this area or on the others, even right here, you'd still be able to see a piece of his body.
Hey y'all, hey, I came across this video, felt that maybe it would be helpful to share it. Please, y'all, this is not the day that they were heading out to Horns Island. This actually was taken on 6/23 of Nolan and those people. And I don't know, it just made me sick to my stomach. And when I saw the video, I said, oh my God. But I had to keep rewinding it because I believe that some of those people that are on that boat, well, we clearly know Warren is on that boat. I believe Wyatt's on that boat. And there's several other people, but I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. Like, I need to share it, and maybe you guys can see something out of it or get something out of it. And this is not to accuse, point fingers or anything, but the video just made me, oh my God, the hairs just started standing up. But and this was 12 days later, Nolan would be found unalived. Hey y'all, hey, I just got back in and bombshell. Why we have a photo of Nolan with Bart and a large group of people. And I'm just gonna show you real quick because I have questions. Hold on, let's look. Now, I have questions because from what the last thing that I heard per Warren, that Nolan was on leaving and went out to Horns Island on the Triton with Wyatt. That's what Warren said. And then how can the video that I just shared with you guys this morning, how could that be Nolan in the video when Nolan is on another dock with Bart getting ready to head out there to Horns Island? Y'all, what is going on? And then Warren, I'm so confused because how are you saying that how is that your friend? How is that your best friend, your brother from A High, and you're nowhere in the picture? What's really going on? Y'all, this is some... Yes, sister, friend, I will share a longer version of...
Hold on, let's take a look at that picture again. Here it is. That looks like Nolan right there. You see? And that's probably Bart. Very interesting. Here's that other picture from the other day with the life jackets. Remember when the old man said that they covered him up with the life jackets? Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying. Let's continue.
I'm going to add it to this one. But the purpose of this video, I couldn't even sleep last night because I was trying to put A, B, C together. So this picture, the video, excuse me, on June the 23rd helps in a lot of ways because Warren stated in all of the videos in his interviews that they were a tight-knit group of people. And he also said that there were around 20 to 30 people scattered in those 3 or 4 different boats that they had taken, correct? Okay, so the trip on June the 23rd, per Warren, are a tight-knit group of people, would be the same people that we saw inside this picture. So that is where I'm going with the video, because Warren, again, said that they were a tight-knit group of friends. Like, there's no outsiders in their circle. And so the same people that are on that video on June the 23rd are the same people that are in that still image on Horns Island, allegedly Horns Island, that we see here. That's it. That's all.
Okay, so those are the people that she's basically saying probably know what happened to Nolan. Okay, let's go back to that video though.
Okay, so the trip on June the 23rd, per Warren, are a tight-knit group of people, would be the same people that we saw inside this picture.
Now you're going to see Nolan over here next to the guy with the glasses. It's really quick.
So that is...
Did you all see him? Now this wasn't, mind you, this wasn't the day of the incident. Okay, Equator said he's sitting separated on the end of the boat. Okay. Very interesting. Oh, I almost didn't see that super chat. Also, let me say shout out to Brown John. Brown John sent me a super chat the other day and I didn't even see it until after the fact. Okay, Adrian says, Queen, No Captivity had guest show entire family tree, every position aspect of these adults that generally in the place, that's the issue until now. Generally is in place. I'm confused. Hold on, generally is in place. Okay, Queen, No Captivity had guest show, entire family tree, even position, every position aspect of these adults that generationally, generationally is in place. That's the issue until now. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, beloved. I misread that because this thing is in the way. I had to look in the chat. Thank you for insight to the topic and your contribution. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing. I talked about the other day how the Treehern family, which is a very prominent family there, who has all of this money. Okay, one of them is a big real estate mogul, and Judge Ashley Cole married into that family prior to marrying Warren's father, Dr. Benjamin Hudson. So she has ties to that family. She's very connected to them, and she has a layer of protection. And these people pretty much run the political and law down there, if you ask me, because they donate. They're big donators. And even though they're not necessarily involved in politics, they pay the politicians. Okay, they donate to these politicians, so they pretty much have a say-so, and they say pretty much nothing goes down without their okaying it. Okay, so absolutely, it's old money down there and generational wealth and all of that, and these people are wealthy and elite, and they stick together. It's a huge cover-up network, in my opinion. Okay. Absolutely is, as far as I'm concerned. Now, with that all being said, let's continue because I want to go to the letter that they sent good old Al Sharpton talking about they're going to sue. Let's get into it. Like, so everyone, please like and share. And again, we're not going to go through the whole thing. Hold on, beloved. Okay, sorry about that, beloveds. I got a phone call really quick. But hold on, give me just a second. Okay, now with that all being said, let's get into it because like I said, we're not going to go through this entire letter. It's like 19 pages, but I want to read over it briefly just to see what they're talking about. And then I want to go to this clip with Nancy Grace and tap dancing rage Batum Tatum. Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now they sent this August the 21st, 2 days ago. We represent Warren Jackson Morgan. This letter will serve as our only pre-suit demand regarding your defamatory statements about these completely innocent young men. This letter should come as no surprise to you, since you recently welcomed a lawsuit against you boasting at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention. But I will say this on this stage. I want them to sue me first. Ha! They're repeating what Sharpton said. You also stated, I want to depose your son. If you sue, the plaintiffs are deposed. And let's go to civil court, any kind of court you want to go to, because you can't make this make sense. We're happy to grant your wish. Unless you comply with the demand set forth in this letter, we will imminently be filing suit against you. However, we are pleased that you too welcome depositions. While we are more than ready for Warren Jackson Morgan to sit for their depositions and tell the truth under oath, we are most looking forward to your deposition, smearing the reputation of innocent young men mourning the loss of their friend to score cheap political points will prove far easier than explaining yourself under oath. Indeed, you will find dealing with us to be an altogether different experience than indulging in a slanderous rampage applauded by the fawning sycophants in the echo chamber of your inner circle. Do you all hear this? Honey, he is talking, that attorney is talking so much BS. Do y'all hear it? I mean, who does he think he is? John Gotti? He is talking so much trash, but let me continue. I find it all so interesting, honey. He is really laying it on thick, talking about the sycophants in your echo chamber of inner circle. Then goes on to say, on July 14th of 2026, you appeared on TMZ Live and spoke about events surrounding the tragic death of Nolan Wells. Speaking about the investigation into Nolan's death, you stated, now let's see where he says anything defamatory about them, because I don't think that he did. Says, I was first of all stunned at the fact that this young man is going out, he and three friends, he black, they white, and a day later his mother and them start searching for him. No one comes forward, and then they find out after 2 days that they claim his body was washed up and that they had given his cell phone and his keys to one of the three friends, saying he didn't want to go back from Horn Island with them. You then stated, have they brought these three young men in for questioning under oath? You again left no doubt who you were referring to when you stated, how does anyone say that, no race played no role unless you know the three guys, and the three guys were forthcoming. Continuing your racist vitriol, you further identified your targets when you stated you got to look at the possibility of racism at different levels. One, were any of the three guys racist? He just asked the question. You later asked, have they interrogated the three young men? Okay, like I told you all, this is not defamatory at all. Okay, this is questions. And anybody can ask questions. Please make it all make sense. There can be no doubt that you were intentionally referring to Warren, Jackson, Morgan as evidenced by your multiple references to Nolan's three friends, the three young men, the three guys, and to the fact that they are white. Your remarks were intended to accuse them of infamous crimes, publicly claim them as criminal, identify them as enemies, endanger them, and subject them to threats, ridicule, and scorn. You clearly intended that your audience would know exactly who you were talking about, Warren, Jackson, Morgan. Your full defamatory statement set forth below contained lie after lie about each of the three young men. Now, here's what they claim he said. I was, first of all, stunned at the fact that this young man is going out, he and three friends, he black and they white. Okay, he's just repeating the same thing. Okay, then he gets down to the part where he says, well, first of all, it's very, very unlikely for most 18-year-olds to ever give up their cell phone. But if you're going to stay on an island and nobody's there other than people, tourists or partiers, why would you want to give up your cell phone? Then when they track the cell phone down and find out which one of the men, young men, had it and the keys, which they first said they didn't have, then he had to admit he did. All of his photos, text messages, everything on the phone had been erased. So what hit me strange, one, he's missing without a cell phone. Two, you lie about whether or not you had the cell phone and the keys. And three, everything's erased from the cell phone. That's too many unanswered questions for us to not say that something is amiss here. Okay, I'm sorry, where's the lie? And in one of your closing remarks, after calling for fairness and justice in response to Nolan's death, you rhetorically asked if they can do this to the brightest of us, what can they do to the rest of us? Ha! Then on August 19th of 2026, on what would have been Nolan's 19th birthday, you hosted an online vigil ostensibly to honor his legacy. However, being that you are a megalodon-esque devourer of reputation, devourer of reputations, you could not resist the urge to launch more attacks against Warren, Jackson, and Morgan. There you made the following defamatory statement, and here's where they quote him. He had friends in the community in Ocean Springs, and as one would do with friends, holidays you spend together. On the 4th of July this year, he and three white male friends, people he was acquainted with, decided to go to Horn Island because that's where a lot of the festivities happen. Hours later, the three friends came back and he was not with them. And that is where the mystery happened. When his parents recognized he was not back at a certain time, they started calling around and they found that he had not come back with the three friends. And that's where it gets cloudy. What the friends knew when they knew it, and why didn't they hand over the cell phone right away when it was clear he was not back with them? The keys, all of that needs to be litigated. I'm sorry, there's no defamation there either. Like, they're grasping at straws. Not only were these remarks delivered in exceptionally poor taste at what was supposed to be a vigil, you knew full well that these fine young men did not even have Nolan's phone to withhold in the first place. You also knew that Nolan did not travel alone to the island with Warren, Jackson, Morgan. He was with 29 other people. Well, not necessarily, because all 29 people were not on the same boat. They were on different boats. So that's crazy. You dishonored Nolan by using a vigil as a platform to smear his best friends. Even worse, you singled them out in front of an entire online audience in attendance for attending the vigil. You just cannot help yourself. Contrary to the multiple lies in your defamatory statements, the truth is that Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not touch Nolan's cell phone or keys on July the 4th of 2026. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not lie about Nolan's cell phone or keys. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not admit to having Nolan's cell phone or keys because they never even touched his cell phone or keys on July the 4th of 2026. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not access Nolan's phone. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not breach Nolan's phone. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not erase anything on Nolan's phone. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan did not tamper with anything on Nolan's phone. Warren, Jax, and R. Morgan, like many other of Nolan's friends, did come forward contacting not only Nolan's family, but also the Coast Guard, and even returned to Horn Island to search for Nolan. Then it goes on to say, Warren, Jacks, and/or Morgan did not have any knowledge whatsoever the tragic death of Nolan Wells, and Warren, Jacks, and/or Morgan did not have anything whatsoever to do with the death of Nolan Wells. Okay, he's adamant, honey. Then he goes on to say, you falsely accused these three completely innocent young men of extremely serious wrongdoing that constitutes multiple felonies under the Mississippi law, including but not limited to murder, hindering prosecution in the first degree, and tampering with physical evidence. Exasperating your false accusations, it appears that you have conducted no case investigation, including inexcusably failing to visit Horn Island, the island, even once. Nonetheless, emboldened by decades of unaccountability, you consider yourself untouchable with a green light to peddle your abhorrent and damaging lies as you stand atop the gilded soapbox which you have fashioned into a throne. He is going in. Your evidence-free modus operandi is most reminiscent of the carnival barkers, elixir salesmen, and hucksters who preyed upon the gullible and naive at America's 19th century county fairs. Yet even these carnival barkers, elixir salesmen, and hucksters would find your uniquely potent snake venom too much to stomach. You are a human circus. Do y'all hear this? Honey, I am hollering, okay? I mean, he's going in on poor Al. Let's read one more page, and then I'm going to go to the video footage because this is hilarious. Called him a human circus. The facts as they pertain to Warren, Jackson, Morgan are straightforward. They arrived on the island at approximately 10:50 a.m. on July the 4th, 2026, as part of a large mixed race and tight-knit Ocean Springs friend group traveling together with others in 3 boats. Now, why did he feel the need to say mixed race? I keep telling you all that they're the ones that always bring up race, but they want to act like we're the ones that do. No, it's them every single time. Nolan was aboard the Trident with 8 other friends. Morgan was on the Palm Beach with 3 other friends, and Warren and Jax were on the tide line with 15 other friends. And at no time on the way out to the island were Warren, Jax, or Morgan on the same boat with Nolan. Here's the thing. He never said any of their names. Okay, he never said any of their names. And my thing is, Jackson Morgan just stepped onto the scene. Like I told you all, no one was talking about them. So he could likely, as far as they know, could have been talking about Wyatt, Bart, and Warren. Okay? For all they know, I'm just saying. Because those were the people that everyone was initially talking about. And so that all been said, I think he's just doing this for a clout chase. The attorney that is, he's trying to act like he's going so hard in the paint. Really, he knows darn well he doesn't have a leg to stand on. Mind you, this is supposed to be his specialty, dealing with defamation lawsuits. So, of course, he knows that there's nothing to see here. There is no defamation. Okay? None whatsoever. Now, the only thing that Al Sharpton appears to have gotten wrong, in my opinion, is when he said that they pretended they didn't have the phone or didn't know where the phone was or something like that. Because Warren did say that he had the phone after Mrs. Wansley let him know that she was tracking it. Now, as it pertains to Jackson Morgan, I don't remember them ever having anything to do with the phone. So the lawyer's just doing the most. Okay, and like I said, I think it's all for a clout chase. And here are some pictures. They even have the picture that we showed you all in here. Okay, it says, further, none of these boats are owned by Warren, Jax, or Morgan, nor their families. The boating party consisted of 30 individuals in total. The below picture illustrates that this was a large group that went with them to Horn Island. I mean, I don't think anyone ever disputed that. But that doesn't look like 30 people either, just so he knows. At the time Nolan was last seen on the island by anyone in the boating party, there were approximately 2,000 people there enjoying Independence Day. Below are 2 pictures showing the sheer amount of people on the island just in the far northwest portion. Well, I don't think they ever disputed that either. Nolan and his friends spent their time on the island socializing and drinking alcohol. Admit to another crime. At no time while Warren, Jackson, Morgan were on the island were they alone with Nolan. By all accounts, while Warren, Jackson, Morgan were on the island, Nolan was at no point in time alone. That's a lie. That is a damn lie because Warren already told us in the Rage Baitum Tap Dancing Tatum interview that he was with Nolan 2 or 3 times. That's what he said. That's what he said. He talked to him and cracked jokes and all of that. And he said Nolan was making me laugh at least twice. Okay, so that's bullcrap right there. The lawyer's lying again. Nolan, just like most everyone on the island, did not have his phone in his pocket the entire day. Just the opposite. On the island, it's normal to store your phone and electronics on the boat so that it will not be damaged by the salt water. Further, the water is so murky that if a phone is dropped, it is almost impossible to retrieve it. While Warren, Jackson, Morgan were there, Nolan seemed in good spirits and enjoying Independence Day. Below are pictures of Nolan amidst a large group of young people at approximately 1:55. There you see Nolan on the side of the boat. Okay, so this isn't Nolan right here. At first, I thought that was Nolan because of the shorts, but when I got a closer look, I can see that's a white person. But there you see Nolan over there on the side of the boat, and here's a better picture of it right here. You can see Nolan right there with his sunglasses on. They said that was approximately 1:55. Okay, at approximately 3 p.m., Warren saw Nolan alive and well waiting in the water with a young woman holding each other. Nolan appeared happy and enjoying himself with the young woman who he spent much of the day with. Now, as you well know or knew, when you made your defamatory statements, or should have known had you cared about the truth, Warren Jackson Morgan then left Horn Island with a large group of friends, 27 in the boating party in total, at approximately 4:28 p.m., all while Nolan was alive and well. The 4:28 departure is also confirmed by numerous witnesses who can also confirm that Nolan decided to remain on the island and did not leave with Warren Jackson Morgan. Nolan did not retrieve his phone from the boat. The Palm Beach carrying 3 individuals, including Morgan, left first. The Triton carrying 8 individuals and the Tide Line carrying 16 individuals, including Jackson Warren, departed shortly thereafter. Nolan was not one of the 27 members of the return boat party. However, the departure was not without complication. One of the boats, the Triton, was taken on water due to the defective bilge pump. Multiple people told Nolan to get on the boat, and he wanted to stay on the island with the young woman he was spending the day with. Nolan chose of his own free will and accord to stay on the island and return home later. He was not the only friend to stay later than the larger group. Due to the danger of the Triton sinking, the group unanchored the boat and slowly moved away from the island while trying to get assistance. At approximately 4:48. Now listen, I was just going to read a page or two, but listen, I'm reading this because here's the thing. They're given these timelines. This is what he's doing. Now this is going to be very important because now the lawyer has sent this information with timestamps on it, right? He's putting the time on there himself. He better not be lying. He better not be lying because the CETO and the Ward Marine Services records have been subpoenaed, and that's going to tell a whole lot of information about when things happened and what happened and why and all that. It's going to be a whole lot of information is all I'm saying. So if the lawyer's lying anywhere in here, and I believe that he absolutely is, it's not going to be good. Okay, it's not going to be good, but let me continue. So at approximately 4:48 p.m., a member of the group called CETO due to the bilge pump issue. Below is a picture taken. Wait a damn minute. Hold up. I want y'all to pay attention. He just said that they made the call to CETO at 4:48 p.m. Now, I'm sorry. When CETO put out the initial report, didn't it say that the call was made at about 4 o'clock and it was 8 minutes and 50 seconds long, which means it would have ended at 4:08? He just said 4:48. See how the time's changing? I see. He shouldn't have done this because there's going to be all kinds of inaccurate information in here. But let's continue. Now, this is what he says. At approximately 4:48, a member of the group called CETO, due to the bilge pump issue, below is a picture taken of that individual while on the phone with CETO at 4:48 on July the 4th. Okay, just off the shore island. Here's the thing. Oh my goodness, you all, they are so effing busted. Let me tell you why. Not only was it initially reported that the CETO call was at 4 o'clock, they're talking about 4:48, but guess what else? Now they messed up big time because they said this picture right here. Listen to this. This picture right here. Below is a picture taken of that individual while on the phone with CETO at 4:48 on July the 4th of 2026, just off the shore of the island. You know why that's real crazy? You all know why that's real crazy, right? I'm about to show you. Hold on. I got to find it real quick. Hold on, you all. Hold on for just a second. I'm checking for this specific video. Hold on just a second, please. Everybody, hold on, hold on. I know I'm looking for something. I told you all, just hold on. I'm looking for the video where they say the timestamp to prove that they're telling a whole ass lie. Hold on. Okay, okay. I'm sorry that you all had to wait, but I did find it. It was so annoying. I was finding every video except the one that I was looking for. Okay, now I want you all to pay attention so we can expose the lie. Okay, so we can expose the lie. Now I'll probably go back and edit out the part of the video where I had the empty space where I wouldn't say anything. Okay, so now hold on, because here we go. Now let me just read this again, and I want you all to pay attention. At approximately 4:48 p.m., a member of the group called Cito due to the bilge pump issue. Below is a picture taken of that individual while on the phone with Cito at 4:48 p.m. on July the 4th, 2026, just off the shore of the island. Okay, you all heard that, 4:48. That's the picture right there. Time stamped at 4:48, July the 4th. Now, let's go to the clip from when they were on Nancy Grace, because that's not what they said. And I told y'all he was lying then too. Okay, here we go. Lights up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Let me put an overlay on this.
But I can tell you that. I can tell you, look at those photos. Nolan Wells is not on that boat.
The photos to me are very convincing. Let's see the photo they're talking about again.
Yes, I'm glad we agree about that. I'm glad we
do
agree.
I know what time that was or what day that was? Is there a timestamp? Look, I'm not saying either of you are lying. I'm saying this is how I would test evidence in court. I mean, I take everything with a box of salt. When was that taken? Where was it taken? What time was it taken? Yeah. I'm curious. Is it timestamp?
And Nancy, you've been trying this case for over 30 days.
Now, I know you all heard the attorney, the bigger attorney, Tyler J. Cox. He said, yeah, around 4:30.
The facts are the facts are the facts. These boys had nothing to do with the death of Nolan Wells.
Okay, listen, when was the timestamp on that video?
Nancy, I'm going to answer it this way.
Yes.
We don't think that you're accusing us of lying. We don't feel that way. We're just simply saying this. And it's okay. You're asking legitimate investigative questions. And we don't fault you for that. But here's what we're saying. It's been over 30 days. There has never been one shred, one iota, one piece, nothing. There is no evidence that ties Warren, Morgan, or Jax to any crime because they did not commit a crime. They had nothing whatsoever to do. Right.
And again, what's timestamp on that video?
But that's not our burden. See, that's the problem. You're putting this burden on us. All right. There's never been one piece of evidence.
You did that to yourself, Paul, when you said, here's the boat that day and he's not on it. That may very well be true. That may be absolutely true. And I'm saying, when was the video taken?
Well, no, I'm telling you.
Around 4:30, July 4th.
Yeah. And I'm telling you another thing, Nan.
There it is. There it is. He said it twice. Around 4:30, July the 4th. Okay, busted in another lie. Okay, now if nothing to see here, folks, if nobody's lying and got anything to hide, why do they keep lying and moving the goalpost? Okay, and moving the goalpost. I'm so glad I got this letter because we're just catching them in more lies, one after the other, honey. But let's continue. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. This is all so interesting. Now, goes on to say, and there's the same picture like I told you all. And they put the phone call on here. This looks like a screenshot of the phone call. July 4th, outgoing call, 10 minutes. And then it says canceled. Now, was that the actual call? I mean, there's a number, I guess. Was that the actual call? Because the call was 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Unless there's something we missed. Okay, so anyway, goes on to say Cito ended up not towing the Triton, but instead the group decided that the tide line would be best suited to tow it. And there you see the boat with this little flimsy rope. No wonder Secret Service Sam said it looked like dental floss. It literally does. So we're supposed to think that they were towing this boat that weighs thousands upon thousands of pounds with this little flimsy rope. Are they serious? It took approximately an hour and a half to return to the mainland with a tide line towing the Triton due to this mechanical issue. Halfway home, the motor of the Triton was able to trim down, electrical equipment regained function, and the group was able to remove the plug on the boat so that excess water would expel out of the back of the boat when it gained enough speed. At approximately 6:01 p.m., the group of three returning boats docked back on the mainland. Nolan was not on any of these three boats. Now, between the Triton and the tide line, there were 24 occupants and thus 24 witnesses. None of these 24 individuals saw Nolan in either boat because Nolan was not in either boat. Every one of these witnesses has spoken to authorities, verified that Nolan Wells was not on any of the subject three boats that when they returned to the mainland. As you can clearly see, Nolan is not in these boats. Okay, so they're being very specific in talking to him. Look at these pictures. Even in this picture, you see something popping up off the floor right here. Look at that. What is that? Oh, you know what, you guys? You know what? I just noticed something. That thing popping up off the floor is not a hand. That thing popping up off the floor is not a hand. I'm going to show y'all what it is. Wow. This is what we get for speculating, but hold on. I'm about to screenshot it so you all can see it up close. Okay, hold on. I'm about to send this to my email. I literally just saw this. Okay, this is real crazy. Hold on, beloveds. I'm sending this now. I had to screenshot so you all can see what this is. That's not a hand. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm about to show you all what this is. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank y'all in advance. Honey, we're finding receipts in real time. Pay attention. Okay, now look at this. Let me make it as big as I can make it. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Y'all see that, right? Y'all see that? That's not a hand. That is not a hand. Y'all see it? Ha! That's what we get for speculating. But hold on, I'm going to show y'all what it is. I'm going to show y'all what that is. Now look at this. See that? That's the same thing that was on the boats. That was not a hand. That's the same thing that we saw on the boat. And it probably popped up because it's attached to the rope. And they were pulling the rope. Y'all see that, right? Ha! Y'all see that, right? Adrian said that's not the same pic, Queen. I don't believe. Yeah, it is the same pic. It is. When I'm wrong, I can say I'm wrong. That's exactly the same pic, beloved. It's exactly why it never looked like that. I don't know, but that looks like the same thing to me. It doesn't look like the same thing to you all. That looks like exactly what was on the boat. What about the white fingers that pulled it down? I mean, somebody could have still pulled it down. That doesn't mean that it isn't still something that they were using for the rope. Somebody still could have pulled it down. That still doesn't mean that it was a hand, is all I'm saying. I don't think that was a hand all of a sudden. I think that we were wrong about it. Okay, I think that we were wrong about it. If you're wrong, say you're wrong. Okay, y'all know I can admit when I'm wrong, honey. And that doesn't look like a hand all of a sudden to me. Okay. But, still a whole lot of shady stuff going on nonetheless. Okay, that's right. Adrian said it's just mistakes and opinions, not calling wrong. Okay, beloved. I mean, but here's the thing. This is all their own fault. If they hadn't been moving so suspiciously, we wouldn't have been thinking anything 9 times out of 10, right? So I blame them. Okay. Miss BJ said that's orange. The other pick is dark brown. Michelle said, yes, you're right. We were wrong. Yeah, I absolutely think we're wrong. I think that's the same picture. Somebody said that's not the same picture, but it looks like the same picture to me. Okay. It just looks like the same picture. Now let's continue because this is getting juicy. And you know why? Because the lawyer in his letter to Sharpton, he has said plenty of things and he's putting times on it. He's putting his stamp on it. Okay. So he better be right. Okay. Or it's not going to be good for him. Now, later that night, the friend group became alarmed and concerned when they realized none of them had heard from Nolan. By approximately 10 p.m., members of the group, including Warren, Jackson, Morgan, began contacting mutual friends to locate Nolan. None had heard from him or knew his whereabouts. At approximately 11:07 p.m., Warren personally telephoned Christine Wells to ask whether Nolan had returned home. Warren told Christine that Nolan did not return with the group, and Christine confirmed that he had not returned home, and she had not heard from Nolan since the evening of July the 3rd. Warren advised her that Nolan's cell phone had remained with the group on their return from the island and was secured in Wyatt Pyron's vehicle. Now, Warren also told Christine he would call the Coast Guard out of an abundance of caution. He included the screenshots from where the call was made. So here's the thing, though. Let's talk about this timeline real quick because they also included the screenshot from where they supposedly called Cito, and it did have 4:48. So was that the real call time or not? I have questions because here's the thing. If that was the real call time, they actually called at 4:48, then that places them definitely having seen Nolan after 3 o'clock, Warren. Okay, because this would have been shortly after they left the island, which means they would have seen Nolan even further after 3 o'clock, because we already knew that was a lie because we said, okay, it had to be close to 4, when they were leaving, right? Because they called the Cito call at 4 o'clock. But now if the Cito call was made at 4:48 rather than 4, and they have the screenshot. Now, I don't know if it's a fake screenshot or whatever, but at the end of the day, if that is the actual screenshot and they did call it 4:48, that just means they left even later than they said. And if they left even later than they said, then that definitely means that he saw Nolan after 3 o'clock, like I said. Okay, it would have been closer to almost 5 o'clock, it seems, or closer to 4:30. Just in my opinion, but let's continue. So, moreover, at approximately 11:13 p.m., Warren personally contacted the United States Coast Guard to report Nolan missing and get help locating him. Warren remained on the call for another 20 minutes and provided a full description of Nolan, what he was wearing, his last known whereabouts, what time the friend group left the island, and other necessary information to help find him. And there's the screenshot. Oh, so here's what it looks like, folks. It looks like they're creating their own timeline. Okay, it looks like the lawyer is creating their own timeline, but it's got some holes in it. Please pay attention. Mind you, Al, while Warren was on the phone with the Coast Guard, he and Christine were constantly exchanging text messages starting at 11:15 p.m. Those texts have already been publicly released by us to members of the media. But for reference, here are just a few. Okay, and then we see them where Warren says, Warren, where is his car? This is Christine asking him. At Jack's house. Where is that? Can you send me the address where you guys launched? Yes, ma'am. What time was the last time you saw him? 3 p.m. Hold on. Then the next one says, yes, ma'am. What time was the last time you saw him? 3 p.m. What was he wearing? Black shorts and sunglasses. Can you call news at DMR? What was he wearing? Okay, I'm reading the same thing over. Hold on. Can you call the news at DMR? On the phone with Coast Guard now. I will after. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. We have have a missing persons report. So one more time, tell me exactly where you saw him last. I'm so sorry. I'm asking you to repeat this. 3 p.m. West Tip, north side of Horn Island. Okay, so then we launched boats yesterday evening and left from there this morning. Nolan's dad is at the house to pick up the key. Hey, Warren, what kind of sunglasses was Nolan wearing yesterday? I'm pretty sure Ray-Bans, Mrs. Christine. Hey, Mrs. Christine, just wanted to check in. We went out this morning to look, and I've been on and off the phone with Jackson. And then the last set says, hey, Mrs. Christine, just wanted to check in. We went out this morning to look and just off the phone with Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Okay, just off the phone with Jackson County Sheriff's Office today. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you. We are all praying for your family. We appreciate it. What is the make and model of the boat you guys were on? Nolan went out on a 22 Triton offshore. I was on a 24th tide line on the way out. We were on separate boats. I went back on the Triton DMR, and the sheriff's office has all the information also. Okay, now let's continue. So 1 minute after getting off the call with the Coast Guard, Warren called Christine again to inform her that he spoke to them and that they were notified. He also told her the details about where the group was on the island, where they last saw Nolan, and other relevant information. At 12:25 a.m., Warren received a call from a local number of the Coast Guard to get more information about Nolan and his last known location. Warren again willingly provided all the information he had. And there's the screenshots from where he called Christine and the Coast Guard, I guess. Yeah, the Coast Guard. Now, to count 2 calls to Christine and 2 times speaking with the Coast Guard. But it gets better, Al, because at 1 a.m. on the dot, Christine and Warren talked for a 3rd time. This time, Christine called Warren. She told him that Jackson County Sheriff's Department would be calling him so he could give them more information. Warren agreed and spoke with a deputy or investigator on another individual's phone. And there again is a screenshot. I'm sure you can agree, Al, that if you had just committed a heinous and infamous crime on an island, calling and texting the victim's mother, calling the fine men and women of the Coast Guard and their marine investigative expertise, and then speaking to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department would be some of the dumbest moves you could possibly make. Except that it isn't. I'm not saying that they did anything, but here's the thing. That doesn't mean anything. It proves nothing, because I was just reading a story last night about a guy who murdered his so-called best friend, went to the funeral, carried the man's body, was one of the pallbearers, took a picture with his 2 sons, and I even saw the picture, and all the while he was the killer. Okay, so that doesn't mean that someone's absolved, but let's continue. Goes on to say, later, just after midnight on July the 5th, Javon Williams' mother arrived at Jackson's house unannounced with a group of people, most of whom were unknown to Warren Jackson Morgan. These individuals let themselves into the house without permission, demanding Nolan's cell phone and his whereabouts. Jackson's parents were not home. A female friend retrieved Nolan's cell phone from Wyatt's truck and handed it to Javon's mother without incident or delay. At no time did Warren Jackson Morgan so much as touch Nolan's phone. At no time did they have actual possession possession of Nolan's phone. At no time did they have constructive possession of Nolan's phone. And at no time did they access or breach his phone. And at no time did they alter, delete, modify, or erase any data or information on Nolan's phone. Then after 2:24 a.m. on July the 5th, Nolan's father, Elmore Wansley, came to Jax's house and asked Jax whether he had possession of Nolan's keys. Nolan spent the night at Jax's house on July the 3rd into the early July 4th with around 15 to 20 other people. He even slept in Jax's bed, with Jax having to find another place to sleep. After searching throughout his residence, Jax was unable to immediately locate Nolan's keys before Nolan hadn't told Jax where he had left them. Another individual who was with Elmore had to text the same female friend who handed the phone to Jax's mother to find out where Nolan left his keys. It turned out that Nolan had left his keys on top of a video game console in Jax's bedroom. Jax immediately handed over the keys to Nolan's stepfather. Well, here's my thing. If the keys were left in his room because Nolan slept in his room the night previously, I would think that he still would have seen it when he went back into his own room after returning home. And let's not forget that Mr. Elmer Wansley said that Jax had been asleep when he got there. Okay, so you didn't see the keys on top of the Xbox console. I have questions. Now, but Elmore wasn't alone. There was a group of other individuals with him. After giving Nolan's key to Elmore, the group with him refused to leave the property. Even when asked to leave by Jax and his brother, the group remained there and demanded answers as to Nolan's location. The group became disruptive. After refusing to leave repeatedly, Jax and his brother finally had to call 911. And there you see a screenshot of the call. I mean, I'll say one thing. This is very detailed. Okay, this is very detailed. Hope it's accurate for his sake. Now, once the Ocean Springs Police Department arrived on scene, the group finally left the property, and Jax and his brother told police about Nolan not returning with them. They told officers truthfully that no one had seen him, and that unruly group came to their house to locate Nolan's keys and demand answers from them. The next day at approximately 10:30 a.m. on July the 5th, Warren, together with Katie Hudson Seymour, David Seymour, Brooks Edmiston, and Jax, they returned to Horn Island by boat to search for Nolan. That search was subsequently joined by units of the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, and additional private vessels. Neither Warren, Jax, nor Morgan has any knowledge of what happened to Nolan after his last confirmed sighting on Horn Island, and none of them had any involvement whatsoever in his disappearance or death. Again, it bears repeating, neither Warren, Jax, nor Morgan at any time had possession of or made any false statement regarding Nolan's cell phone. Neither Warren, Jax, nor Morgan breached, accessed, tampered with, or deleted any data from Nolan's cell phone. None of them hid, concealed, nor withheld Nolan's keys or lied about the whereabouts of Nolan's keys, and they absolutely came forward and made numerous diligent efforts to increase the probability of locating Nolan. Without the assistance of Jax, Warren, Jax, and Morgan, the investigation into Nolan's whereabouts would not have started as soon as it did, and we would all be further from getting to the truth. Warren, Jackson, Morgan were all close with Nolan and loved him like a brother, and Nolan loved them back. Unlike you, Warren, Jackson, Morgan welcome the truth and care very much about learning the truth surrounding Nolan's tragic death. I mean, he's throwing the digs, isn't he? I find it all so interesting. And there's a picture of all of them, as you can see. Al, your accusations against these fine young men have no factual basis whatsoever. Your accusations are leveled at Warren, Jackson, Morgan in the grandest tradition of the carnival barkers, elixir salesmen, and hucksters who preyed upon unwitting victims in a bygone era. You are confident that you are untouchable, but you are about to discover that you are quite wrong and that you are not above the law. Okay, so did he commit a crime? Ha! Did Al commit a crime now? Talking about he's not above the law. And as you well know, you uttered your defamatory statements. When you uttered your defamatory statements, there were approximately 2,000 people on Horn Island and hundreds just in the area where Nolan's friend group arrived and departed. The individuals present on the island included members of Ocean Springs community, boaters, and tourists from elsewhere. Had you bothered to visit the island before aiming your defamatory fusillade at Warren, Jackson, Morgan, you would have learned that the far western side of the island is an open landscape with no trees or structures. Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the thing that I find interesting. He seems to be so hung up on the fact that the island, that, I don't know, it just seems like he's so hung up on the fact that if you go to the island, you'll be able to see 100% that there was nothing to see here, folks, that they couldn't possibly have anything on the island, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. Hold on, where was I? Hold on. Okay, here we go. So anyway, yeah, it just seems like he's really caught up on that because he keeps telling people, oh, you're not an authority. Oh, you need to go to the island and all this and that. Okay, so the area is flat. The area is flat with low sand dunes and is extremely narrow north to south. But you didn't visit the island. Okay, pictured above with very light cloud cover in the contrast to the July 4th, when there was virtually no cloud cover. If you did, you would have known that with thousands of people present during daylight hours on Independence Day, your belief that an unwitnessed murder occurred under a bright sun and cloudless sky is not only fundamentally inconsistent with the facts set forth above, but also implausible given the environmental dynamics. Say what now? I'm sorry, please make it all make sense. So what do you all think, before we continue, what do you all think about his timeline? What do y'all think about his timeline? I have several questions. Okay, but let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Goes on to say, at the time of writing, Nolan's parents' attorneys have inexplicably failed to provide his cell phone to the authorities to conduct a forensic inspection, entirely inconsistent with the search for answers and truth. Warren, Jackson, Morgan are not the ones who made Nolan's phone an issue. They never even touched Nolan's phone on July the 4th or 5th. On the other hand, the three young men you maliciously accuse of wrongdoing have long since voluntarily provided their cell phones to the authorities. They were not compelled by a warrant or similar court order. Their cooperation underscores the unassailable truth. Now, Warren, Jackson, Morgan are completely innocent of any wrongdoing with respect to the death of Nolan Wales. You will presumably attempt, now this is the legal analysis, you will presumably attempt to escape liability for your disgusting accusations against Warren, Jackson, Morgan by claiming opinion. You certainly cannot claim truth since your statements were all categorically false. Alas, this is no defense for the reasons discussed below. You see, in Mississippi, false statements, whether written or spoken, which tends to injure one's reputation and thereby expose them to public hatred, contempt, or ridicule, degrade them in society, lessen them in public esteem, or lower them in the confidence of the community, are liable for defamation. To establish a claim for defamation, an ordinary plaintiff must prove, number one, a false and defamatory statement concerning another; two, an unprivileged publication to a third party; three, fault amounting to at least negligence on the part of the publisher; four, either actionability of the statement irrespective of the special harm or the existence of special harm caused by the publication. A statement is considered false if it would produce a different effect in the mind of the reader than the undisputed truth would create. defamation per se relieves the plaintiff of the obligation to prove special harm, okay, economic or pecuniary damages, okay, as a foundational element of the action. So here's what he's saying, that he's filing this defamation per se, not just regular defamation, libel, or slander, because when you file defamation per se, you do not have to show proof that you were damaged financially or your reputation was sullied or any of that. You don't have to prove it, because it would have to be that whatever the person said about you that was not true was so damaging that one would just automatically assume that you suffered those types of damages. So it would not have to be proven in court. But here's the thing. Al Sharpton, as I keep saying, didn't say anything defamatory, and it's specifically nothing that would lead up to the defamation per se that he's trying to claim. Okay, but let's continue. So goes on to say, to qualify as defamation per se under Mississippi law, the defamation must be clear and unmistakable for the words themselves rather than the product of innuendo, speculation, or conjecture. Mississippi recognizes 5 categories of words that are defamation per se. Number 1, words imputing the guilt or commission of a criminal offense involving moral turpitude and infamous punishment. Number 2, words imputing the existence of a contagious disease. 3, words imputing unfitness in an officer who holds an office of profit or emoluments. Number 4, words imputing a want of integrity or capacity in the conduct of a profession, trade, or business. And 5, words imputing to a female want of chastity. Now, while Mississippi defamation per se case law historically refers to infamous punishment in conjunction with moral turpitude, the statutory and constitutional definitions of an infamous offense under Mississippi law guide this standard. In Mississippi, an infamous crime is defined by a statute as any offense punished with death or confinement in the penitentiary. Now, the Mississippi Supreme Court has interpreted the statutory definition to include all felonies. Mississippi courts look to the character of the act charged rather than the mere criminal label to determine whether an accusation involves moral turpitude. For example, a trivial assault or battery does not involve moral turpitude, but an accusation that a person beat his mother necessarily does. Hence, an accusation that Warren, Jackson, Morgan were in any way involved in the murder of their friend, hindered a prosecution, or tampered with physical evidence certainly involves moral turpitude and infamous punishment under Mississippi law. Here, your statements create an effect on the listener that asserts Warren, Jackson, Morgan were colluding to hide evidence and or obstruct the efforts to find Nolan at the very least, and that they murdered Nolan at the very worst. Your assertions are grossly disproved by the truth. Your statements are negligent at the bare minimum, and your refusal to accept the facts that are publicly available constitute actual malice. Your statements falsely assert that Warren, Jackson, Morgan committed infamous crimes of moral turpitude, including but not limited to murder, hindering a prosecution in the first degree, and tampering with physical evidence. As such, the immense damage caused by your grotesque circus of defamation is presumed. Okay, formal demand for apology, retraction, and deletion. So here's what they're demanding. So here's the deal, Al. Warren, Jackson, Morgan hereby formally demand that you apologize for, retract, and delete every false and defamatory statement about them, including but not limited to those specifically identified in this correspondence. As a reverend, we would hope that you see the need for repentance. Specifically, Warren, Jackson, Morgan demand that you, A, apologize publicly, both verbally and in writing, for your false and defamatory statements. B, cease further publication or republication of your false and defamatory statements. C, expressly acknowledge that the statements identified above were false and defamatory. D, state clearly that your allegations of murder, hindering prosecution, and tampering with physical evidence have no basis in evidence or reality. Do you all hear this? Yeah, Renaissance woman said, so basically bow down. This is hilarious. Irma said, get the F out of here, okay? This is so crazy, but let me continue, honey, because they are going all in. And then F, Publish the apologies and retractions in the same manner and medium as the original publication, with sufficient prominence to reach substantially the same audience, and pin for a minimum of 7 days. You know what this reminds me of, you all? Let me just say, it reminds me of, if you've ever read the book, The Crucible, or seen the movie, and it's supposed to be based on a true story about the Salem witch trials. But if you remember, when they were going to kill John Proctor and his wife, Sarah, they were going to hang them because they were accused of being witches. And so they told them the only way you can save yourselves is to write a letter, admitting your guilt to being in a whole contract with Satan, and then sign your names on it. And then we're going to nail it to the church door for all to see when they come to church on Sunday. So they'll know that you had a whole pact with the devil himself. And that's the only way you can be freed from being hung. And they decided to just get hung. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This is what they're doing to Al. They want Al to not only apologize, but to do it in writing as well as publicly. Okay, and then this is all crazy. Then they wanted to be pinned for at least 7 days. Okay. Now, for any online publication, append the apology and the retraction directly to the original publication. And H, provide us with written confirmation identifying each corrective action taken. I, in summary, apologize for, retract, and delete all of your false and defamatory statements. Honey, I wouldn't do any of it. This letter is not and should not be interpreted as a waiver of any claim, cause of action, or remedy available to Warren, Jackson, Morgan. We expressly reserve all rights. So basically, even though even if he does all of that, they still might sue because they still want to hold their rights. Honey, I wouldn't do any of it, honey. You just have to sue because miss me with it. Preservation of evidence. In contemplation of litigation, you are further instructed to preserve all documents, electronically stored information, and tangible materials relating in any way to Warren, Jackson, Morgan, the underlying incident, or your publications concerning them. This preservation obligation includes without limitation. And then they have a whole list of things which I'm not going to bother to read. Okay. And then here's the conclusion. You should take your immediate steps to suspend any automatic deletion policies that could result in destruction of potentially relevant evidence. Here's the thing, though. They told him to delete the stuff to get rid of it, but now they're telling him not to delete certain things and keep it as potential evidence. So which is it? Do they want him to delete the stuff or not? Okay, because make it make sense. Because the things that he said, according to them, is the evidence. But at the same time, they want him to get rid of the evidence, but also keep the evidence. Like, that's crazy. Okay, anyway, if we do not hear from you or your attorney within 10 days of the date you are served with this letter, we will assume that you are not interested in resolving this matter without litigation and will proceed accordingly. Well, they just have to proceed accordingly, because my thing is, I wouldn't do any of this because Al can simply say he wasn't talking about them because he never named anyone. And although when you sue someone for defamation, you can, they don't have to have named you specifically, as long as they've said enough information to make a reasonable person know that they were absolutely talking about you. You see, that's what Johnny Depp did in his lawsuit for defamation against Amber Heard. Because even though she never said his name, it was obvious to all of us that she was talking about him, right? But in this case, no one can really say that because there's so many players. Okay, because like I said, there's Jax, Morgan, Warren, Trayston, Javon, there's Bart, okay, Eric, Wyatt. So he could have been talking about any of them. It didn't have to necessarily be Warren, Jackson, Morgan. And like I said, they came in the 11th hour. So I scarcely think he was ever referring to them. Now, and so Al, in conclusion, you asked for it and now you got it. Be careful what you wish for. Your days of rolling into peaceful towns like Ocean Springs with false accusations of racism for political gain and photo opportunities are over. The good folks of the Mississippi Gulf Coast do not want you to give us a sanctimonious and unwarranted history lesson. The good folks of the Mississippi Gulf Coast do not want you insinuating that we are backward, racist, and roaches. Not roaches. And the good folks of Mississippi, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, do not want you trashing our brave and dedicated men and women in law enforcement. And most importantly, the good folks of the Mississippi Gulf Coast do not want you, all caps, mind you or your divisive lies, Al Sharpton. Should you not apologize, retract, and delete your defamatory statements within 10 days of the date you are served with this letter, litigation will become necessary. We look forward to your sincere apology. Be guided accordingly. Signed, Edward Andrew Paltic, Esquire, and J. Tyler Cox, Esquire, counsel to Warren Jacks and more. So, honey, I guess y'all heard that. So what do y'all have to say about it, honey? That was so entertaining. It was absolutely entertaining for me because it read like almost like a short novel of a threat. Okay? I mean, if intimidation is what he was going for, I'd have to say he succeeded. Okay, he was talking like he was John Gotti throughout the whole thing and throwing shade at the same time. But it's funny because Al Sharpton didn't say anything that was defamatory, libelous, or slanderous. Okay, please pay attention. And like I told you all, in my opinion, the only reason they came out coming for Al so strongly is because Christine sent out those 2 subpoenas. She sent out those 2 subpoenas, and they're mad as hell about it. Okay? Now, with that all being said, listen, we're almost out of here, beloveds, but let's go to this Nancy Grace. Hold on, let's go to this picture of them at the dock first. Like, step, everyone, please like and share. Okay. I'm so glad I read that. That was just really juicy. And I hope for his sake the timelines are adding up. Mind you, I don't think they will be, but we'll see. Gregory said, I like it. I do too. Ebony said, mob lawyer. Exactly. Okay. He is a whole mess. Let me put my overlay on here. Oh, crap. Hold on. I don't know how that happened. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, here we go.
On the boat before they went to Horn Island. It's very interesting, evidentiarily. Okay, here we go. This was from the Officer Tatum show, and you're about to see people. There they are down at the right. And there's actual video of people see the boat at about 1 o'clock. Oh, there we go. Excellent shot, guys. People are getting on, people getting off. And it keeps going to where you see everybody that got on the boat. But here's my big question tonight, before I can even get to the alleged witnesses that Tyler Cox is telling us about. Dave Mack, joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Can I see the video again, please? Dave Mack, I'm seeing everybody preparing the Triton to go out, preparing to go
when they're
out.
coming back.
In this shot, they're down at about 3 o'clock. Okay, keep looking. 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then suddenly you switch to a different camera. There you go. That's the boat. So, Dave Mack, where is the evidence? Where is the video of the boat? Is that Nolan right there?
Yep.
Walking along the light blue shorts, and he at that time out on a white shirt. I think that's Nolan right there. Dave Mack, where is the evidence, the video evidence of them coming back?
Boom.
Nancy, we have not seen evidence of them coming back. Remember, 3 boats caravan out to the island, and then we have different stories about when they arrived back on the mainland. But we don't have video of any of them
So we don't
showing
have
back
that
up.
video.
Correct.
Okay, let's circle
But
back
there is
to
a
the
video.
alleged witnesses that he's a great trial lawyer, by the way. Wins a lot of cases. Is Tyler Cox. He's representing the acquaintances that went
I like how you say
to
that.
Horn Island with Nolan. I've got to get
Thank
to
you, Nancy.
the phone, Torpedo. But he's not the only one that
Torpedo.
says they have witnesses. Listen.
Okay, I wanted you all to see that picture, the video that video of them at the dock. Now, why didn't we see them returning? Because clearly the cameras their work, right? But also something else I wanted to point out to you all that I thought was funny when I was reading that was that attorney used the word fusillade. Ha! When he said that, when he's talking to Al Sharpton, fusillade, which is a large number of shots fired at the same time or rapidly one after another. Okay, clearly there were shots fired on his behalf towards Al. Okay, but that letter was hilarious. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to this next clip and then, hold on, likes up everyone, please like and share. Here we go. Okay, now this is a clip from Nancy Grace. New witness emerges as Nolan Wells' case takes a turn. Okay, this is from yesterday, she reported.
On any one of the boats.
To have a witness tell me it's true because I said so, and because my friends say so, that doesn't mean it's true to me.
This is GPS.
It could be true.
They
And I
provided,
see
they provided
GPS. That doesn't tell me what happened to Nolan. Just because they
I'm
got
saying
GPS,
they provided
that
Life
they
360,
came back.
they provided Life 360. They provided the CETO call, and you can put those two things together and say, okay, the timeline matches. And if they left at 4:30, they were already gone. All three boats that came out were already gone when Nolan was last seen. Before we get back to the show, I want to tell you guys about Synergy. If you're tired of energy drinks that spike you up, make you jittery, and then crash you later, Synergy.
Two confirmed witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. The Triton, as you said, left around 4:30.
What witnesses? Where? Who, what, where, why, and when?
Has an altercation witness emerged? A witness that claims she saw an altercation at Horn Island. Joining me is Brandon Tatum, former police officer,
Okay, so there it is. So also, here's the thing. We still, after all this time, have so many questions. Even as more information comes out, we still have so many questions. Due to the inconsistencies and all the shady things that have been going on and whatnot. Now, there's an article by Atlanta Black Star that I'm going to go over. Let's go over this. But also, before we go out of here, I think everybody needs to make sure that you're doing your due diligence. And if you're going out late at night, whether you're a male or a female, you need to be strapped, okay? Because all these Black people coming up as strange fruit is beyond nefarious, okay? And they want us to think that people are doing this to themselves. Absolutely not. So make sure everybody's staying safe. Okay, so now let's get into this letter. I mean, not this letter, this article. And then we're out of here. Nolan Wells' investigation erupts as mother goes after records tied to viral boat call and revealing text messages surface. So Nolan Wells' mother is seeking more answers about what happened to her son. And now she's turning to the companies that his friends called for help the day he disappeared from Horn Island. Attorneys representing the Wells' estate filed 2 subpoenas Thursday, seeking records from CETO Services International and Ward Marine Services, also known as CETO South Mississippi. Now, Christine Wansley has been seeking answers since her 18-year-old son disappeared from the island on July the 4th. Wells' body was found 2 days later. His official autopsy has been completed, but the results have not been publicly released. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family was ruled inconclusive. Now, the subpoena to CETO seeks records connected to the July 4th incident from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., including calls, records, dispatch records, and documents identifying the people involved in responding to the emergency. Wansley is also seeking CETO's training materials and written procedures for responding to reports of boats taking on water or sinking. Now, the subpoena to Ward Marine Services also seeks calls and other communications connected to the incident, including dispatch communications and conversations involving the boat's captain, local crew, and people connected to the vessel. Wansley's legal team has previously subpoenaed every major technology and social media company, including Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, and Life360, as part of its efforts to obtain information about Will's final hours. Now, the requests are significant because the call to CETO has sparked intense online speculation. During the recording, one of the teenagers on the boat tells the dispatcher that their bilge pump stopped working and the vessel was taking on water. The caller stated that there were roughly 7 people aboard and initially assured the dispatcher that everyone was accounted for and in good health. That call has become controversial because of claims about what can be heard in the background. Black audio engineer Netta Brantley enhanced the boat audio and posted her findings on social media. Also, it's important to note that they're supposedly going to be trying to sue her too, beloveds. Yeah. That's also, I heard that also. Now, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but they were supposedly thinking about suing her as well. I mean, I don't know why. She didn't tell any lies, and they can't get mad because she enhanced the audio. Now, she told Atlanta Black Star that she believes she heard phrases such as, "Can we cover it up? Is he dead? Yeah, and Nolan, wake up." Yeah, she heard it because we heard it too. Tyler Cox and Edward Paulsick, attorneys representing the three of the men last seen with Wells, told CNN they believe people were editing the audio to fit a narrative and fuel online speculation. They're saying the CETO call and hundreds of versions of it now are circulating, and it's a red herring. It's distracting people from what matters. This is what Paulsick said. Is it a red herring? Sounded real to us. Now, the new filings come as private text messages were revealed between Wansley and Warren Hudson, one of Wells's friends. Hudson was one of the last people seen with Wells. Hudson claims that he was the first person to report Wells missing and notify his parents. In the messages released by Officer Tatum, Wansley asked Hudson several questions, including what Wells was wearing and where his car was. Hudson responds that Wells was wearing black shorts and that his car is at another friend's house and gives her the location. He also tells Wansley he last saw Wells around 3 p.m. and that he was going to call the Coast Guard. Okay, so anyway, we already pretty much know the rest of it. They just say that Wells's parents have pushed back on the accounts, saying that it is not in their son's character to not leave with people that he came with, and they retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump to help them find answers. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office is still investigating the case. Evidence will be presented to a grand jury who will determine if criminal charges should be filed. Listen, criminal charges are absolutely going to be filed. They don't want to, but they're going to have to. At this point, there's too many eyes on it. It's too much information has come out, and too many people are looking into it. Now you got the NAACP, the Black Caucus, calling for a federal probe and all of this. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to do something, because I don't think that they're going to just be able to get away with this blatantly in our face. Okay, please pay attention. Okay. Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. I just got a text. Okay, let me say this. Let me just say something here. Pensy Lola, beloved, I need you to come to the front. Okay, I need you to come to the front. Now, I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't know what your problem is with my moderators. You said, yeah, Queen's mods are suspicious as F. My mods are not suspicious. You are. And let me tell you why. Because the other day when you went on that little tirade and you were talking about you can't stay in the chat because you're upset about Desmond and songwriter Sonny, what they were discussing. At the end of the day, and you called them weirdos and you said a bunch of disparaging things about Desmond, right? I don't appreciate that. Now, I didn't know you said that while I was on the live, but I found out after the fact. Now, here's the thing, and I was just going to let it go, but as I can see, you just keep on going. So let me just tell you this, because I have politely asked you and others not to cause distractions in the chat and not to be disrespecting anyone in the chat. Now, I don't know why you think that you can just come on here and be disrespectful to my moderators. I don't know why you think that, beloved. But let me just tell you this. You call them weirdos, but what I think is weird is the fact that you were so upset by something that had nothing to do with you. Now, are you homophobic? Because that's what it sounds like. Because I don't understand why, other than that, you would be so pressed about what Desmond and songwriter Sonny were saying to one another in my chat. If I didn't have a problem with what they were saying or doing, I don't understand why you would, especially since it didn't concern you and neither of them was talking to you. Now, if you don't like gay people, okay, that's fine, but don't come in here disrespecting anybody in my chat. And just for the record, Desmond isn't gay. And not that he should have had to explain that to you, because that's his business. Whether he is or not is his business. But the bottom line is I'm not going to have people being disrespectful in here. I have asked everyone, and I think I've been more than fair when I asked everyone to be polite and courteous to everyone else, to not do things like using racially inflammatory words, no matter who your race is or whatever. That I think that's fair to ask, because everyone deserves respect until they don't. Now, I don't know, like I said, I don't know why you're sitting here talking trash about my moderators. You think I'm going to let that fly? I'm not. This is my channel. My moderators work for me, and they will be respected. Now, if you can't respect them, then you know what to do, beloved. Okay, you know exactly what to do. I'm not going to have it, so please make this your last time saying anything disparaging about the Queen's moderators. And also, it would behoove you to show respect to everyone in the chat, unless you don't want people in the chat to show you respect. Okay, because like I said, I don't know why you're worried about other people's conversations in the chat. It had nothing to do with you. Okay, nothing to do with you. Now, I don't want to have to speak on this again, because I do not like repeating myself. Okay, I do not like repeating myself. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's too much to ask for people to be respectful at the end of the day. Now, with that all being said, listen, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. Okay. Rupert said, I've never seen the Queen so upset. I followed her for almost 6 years. She warns us. Exactly. Because why is anybody being so rude? And just constantly, every day, now you're saying something about my moderators. I have a problem with that. Okay? Now, if that all being said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I'll talk to you all again soon. Okay? And let me just say this. For anyone that is homophobic, you might not want to follow this channel, because I have a whole lot of gay people that follow my channel. Okay? And I don't have a problem with it, because I love everybody unless they give me a reason not to. All right, please pay attention. I don't know why some people be so worried about other people's business and what they do in their own private lives. Like, that's crazy to me. That's really weird. Okay, but let's continue. Y'all enjoy the rest of this day, and I will talk to you all again soon. Now, I don't know if I'll be back. If there's any juicy news, you know I will. Okay, so just keep your notifications on just in case. Until next time, beloveds, peace.
Yeah. For Nolan Xavier Wells. 18 years old, gone too soon. Mississippi, y'all got some explaining to do. Mississippi, need to release that report. Low down, dirty ass Mississippi. What you hiding? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? Talk. I pray the family get a real answers. And no, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today. Mississippi, the Most High gonna really deal with you. July 4th lights, boat ride with the crew. Young King Nolan chasing dreams, Ocean Springs through and through. Horn Island called his name, he relaxing in the blue. 2 days later found on the sand. What happened to you? Independent autopsy dropped, but it's undetermined. Red mark on the back of the head, neck structures missing. Absurd. State sitting quiet, toxicology on the shelf. Family screaming for truth, but y'all protecting yourself. Nolan was a star athlete with a future bright. Now his mama crying every single night. Boating trip turned nightmare. Questions in the air. Who was on that island? Why the silence there? Mississippi. Need to release that report. Low down, dirty ass Mississippi. What you hide? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? I pray the family get real answers. And no, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today. Mississippi, the most high gon' really deal with you. Grand jury waiting, but the people still fighting. No severe trauma, they say, but the story don't add up clean. Waves whispering secrets, covering up the scheme. Oh, young black man gone, another one in the South. History repeating, time to open your mouth. What you hiding in them files? Why the delay? Transparency dying, why the family pray? Nolan's light was shining, future snatched away. Now the whole world watching what Mississippi say. We marching, we posting, we demanding justice loud for every mother losing sons behind that murky cloud. Oh. I pray the family get real answers. No more games, no more lies. No more games, no more lies. Nolan deserved better, the truth never dies. From the island to the courtroom, we standing tall. Mississippi, your reckoning gon' come. One and all, finding all. Mississippi, Mississippi, need to release that report. Release it now, release it now, release it now. Need to release that report. Mississippi, what you hiding? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? I pray the family get real answers. No, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today, not today. Mississippi, most high, gonna really deal with you. For Nolan, well,